I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the party. This is the season finale of For Life. This is season 1, episode 13, titled Fathers. All of my people are with me, you guys. We've been on this journey. 13 episodes. I thought the best way we could start was just making sure that we all had a glass to raise this evening. Cheers to each of you because we made it. Dot, how are you?
Doing great. I am excellent. Cheers to 13 episodes.
Salud. Emily May in the building.
Hey everyone, sorry I had to get a little sip. Oh man, I can't believe we're here. Season finale, so much going on. So many feelings.
I know we all have been just kind of weird about it. But without last but not least, Jeff Will in the building. How you feeling?
Man, I needed that drink, let me tell you, because this thing had me in all types of feelings. And it ended, I was celebrating, I was pissed off, I was doing so much. So this drink is necessary. But we gonna discuss it all. So
we were all doing like flip-flops, handstands, like we're doing everything.
Yeah, I felt like last week we all kind of came to the consensus that it just took us on such a roller coaster ride. But I felt a lot more of the roller coaster this week. So the episode, we started out kind of picking up where we left off with Aaron. There's this new Cyrus is back in charge. The jail is on the lockdown. They've tossed the cells. And right away, we were kind of met with all of the things that he had to overcome. I guess we'll try to take the episode in pieces, kind of, just so that we can get through it in a way that makes sense. And I'm really interested in what you guys liked and disliked. So we'll start with that top half, I guess, before they really got into just learning some of the elements that would be involved in Aaron's case. We got to see a lot of Maskins and the Attorney General and their whole plan and scheme to kind of rig the system against them. Emily, why don't you go ahead and start?
Oh my, well, which part?
Just the beginning, I guess, just based off of, okay, let's go with what you were left with, based off of knowing that Maskins and the DA were working together against him. They were keeping him from talking to the press. They leaked the video of him fighting. They changed the judges. Maskin was speaking in front of churches, just smearing his good name.
Well, I was so mad, but not surprised because they're running a campaign. They're politicians, and they're all like intertwined with each other. So I liked, in the sense that we got to see who the true characters were, where the morality was, and it made me root for Aaron even more because I was like, you know what, he has been through so much. He has been through so much of just the politics of it all and the frustrating nature of it all and how people want to undermine him and make it harder for him at every step. So yeah, I was not surprised that people were trying to make it harder for him to get what he wanted and what he deserved.
Yeah, I definitely think it made it easier for us all to root for Aaron. And we saw that he showed up in court because he was on his stuff. Dot, what did you think about it?
Yeah, when I was watching this episode, I was extremely disgusted and just disheartened by the lengths that people will go just to protect themselves, just not having anybody else in consideration. It's every man for themselves. Emily is absolutely right when it's just all about politics. And it just opened my eyes to just the nastiness of what, the possibilities and the outcomes can be when you get tangled up in this situation. And I really, if I'm being honest, I really kind of started losing faith, not in Aaron, but just in his situation, seeing how much power everyone else has, seeing everyone else's intentions and motives. He's fighting so much more than just his case. He's fighting against people who live this way. So I was watching, I was like, oh.
Yeah, he's fighting for a larger purpose of what's going on with the prison system and the DA and the justice system in general. His goal is much larger, even though he is fighting for himself. He at least is looking further and in the circle in which he's in to expand that.
And can I jump just to jump in and what you guys you guys saying that him being so much bigger than him frustrates me even more with the thing that we're left off with. because
Yes.
I'm not gonna jump into all that, but like we all know, it just frustrates me even more because I agree with you guys. This is so much bigger than than just him. This is a bigger cause, but we see step after step. No, we're gonna block you here. No, we're gonna block you here. Till literally the last sentence of the episode, they were trying to block him, and it's just frustrating to see. But what you kind of taught when you brought up the church, there was two people that I think kind of had cameos that we've never seen about. So I think they're gonna be bigger parts in the next season. I'll just like toss it out there, see what you guys think. Is the black lady who was in the corner saying, "Why is he bringing race into this?" And then his son was also looking kind of side eye at his dad, as in Maskin's son was looking side eye. So I think those two characters are going to play key roles going down the line. But just to get back to it, step after step after step, blockage after blockage. It's just so frustrating, and it's disheartening as a fan and as a person that, like, if you're his family, how can you be positive? Because every step there's a blockage.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation to be in. It does remind us how difficult it can be to have to deal with the criminal justice system. And not only that, but just how difficult, like you say, we saw so many obstacles set against him, and he just happens to be, collateral damage because it's not even, you see, it's not even a personal thing, but those ahead want to remain ahead. But we did get to see and kind of go on this journey. Of course, we know we were looking to see if the retrial was going to be granted. I think last week we were able to come to terms that the season would close with us at least having some insight to what happens there. So let's talk a little bit about some of the elements that they used, particularly the whole theme of fathers. The episode was titled Fathers. We know that the one witness that they were holding out on, or that he was going to use, was the Lexi Richardson, the girl who had OD'd at the club. But then at the last minute, he talks to her dad to kind of protect her and to get him to testify. I wanted to just check in and see, what did you see that coming? Would you have preferred to see her? I just didn't know kind of what to expect. So I wanted to check in and see what you guys thought. Dot.
Yeah, I was really surprised at that turn of events. I really wanted to hear Lexi speak. We've kind of known about her and seen a lot of how important she was to this case. So the kind of turnaround to the dad was like a really nice surprise that kept me like interested. And I also thought when the father was up there as a witness, I thought like how much more credible and how much stronger his case was having the father, which initially I didn't think. I was like, well, why is he bringing the dad? Like, what does that have to do with anything? But like they kept reiterating, like Lexi was really young, so I'm sure she would have been staggering. Her statements wouldn't have been as clean and, precise. So having the father up there and just black man to black man, both who have daughters, and understanding what you have to do to protect your child and to protect yourself, I just thought it was a moment of strength and definitely a moment of understanding, even though, and I believe that gentleman's name was Spencer, even though it didn't seem like he wanted to be up there seemed to be some sort of like a tiny bit of respect for Aaron. I know that there's some things that, may in the back end be going against him, especially with his relationship with Maskins, but there was a little peekaboo of some type of respect that he had for Aaron.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I think it was respect and also responsibility to kind of what I have been contributing to without necessarily knowing all the parts. One of the points that you did make was the fact that we did have this moment that they were these two black men kind of sharing information, and similar because they both had daughters. We also saw that when they switched out the judge, it was a black man. And I felt like at the end of the episode, it was just kind of nice to see how in a world that makes it difficult, you don't have to necessarily say anything, there's just this common camaraderie amongst like black men. Jeff, that being said, what did you think of the element, not only of the father being the one to give testimony, but them switching the judge? Because that was the same judge that everybody was kind of hating on in the earlier episodes too.
I'm gonna start with the judge. I mean, right, like he was making it hard. Like I mean, but we already knew he was in Maskin's pocket, like to an extent. Like, but but Aaron gave him so much information. It was almost like I have to give him a retrial. So I don't put too much emphasis on the judge because we know what we were getting from him. But this dad, straight dirtball to me. Dirt ball, like horrible. The first thing when he was talking to his daughter saying, "Hey, you're gonna have to go on the stand, but this is not your fault. This is his fault. He should have been protecting you." I cussed at that screen so many times. You're a grown A man. You're telling your daughter that some other person that y'all don't know is supposed to be in charge, supposed to be taking care of you. No, if anything, you're supposed to be taking care of that person because that's your daughter. Don't try and don't put that on your daughter. Don't try and say that that's okay. It's okay because Black people are supposed to look out for each other. Yes, we're all supposed to look out for each other, but don't use that to the detriment of other people. Like, he's supposed to look out for you, so if he didn't, he should go to jail for life. No, that's not a thing. You're a grown A person. As a dad, you're a grown A daughter. Like, you make these beds, sleep in them. So it pissed me off to see that he tried to use that as an excuse. Like, no, he should have been there for you. Da 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 da. Like, scratch all of that. The only thing he did was be a father. I wouldn't even say a good father. He just was like, you know what? I don't want my daughter to be up there and be like just be talked about and all this other kind of stuff. Let me just go take the hit. He did it. I mean, but he still looks like a dummy. But like nothing there was justified for me. I just did not like his character. And then at the end, he was like, fix this. So he didn't even learn. So like, what's the point? Like, he's just dirtball to me, and that's where it is. And that's why I got to drink.
But Emily, you go ahead and respond to that. And
like, there's so much to respond to. I feel like there's more to that conversation at the end than we think, and I think we'll find out more in season 2. I feel like this father character is really difficult. I feel like that this episode is named for fatherhood because we have people becoming fathers, we have people, trying to stand up for their children, we have people trying to be reconnected with their children. So there's a lot of themes around that. But I feel like this specific character was trying to protect her in some way, but also was not taking the ultimate responsibility for, hey, like not like making sure my kid was okay. Like it was obviously like it's a complicated situation that she was involved, like she had an overdose, so like it gets tricky. But like I feel like he was slightly disappointed but also trying to protect her, and I'm glad he testified and like was a witness, but I don't know if it was as effective moment as it could have been if she didn't do it.
Okay, well, here's what I would like to say. Because while I can definitely understand your point of view, Jeff, it makes sense. But at the same time, I can understand for Mr. Richardson, her father, being in that position, feeling that his child was in a club, in an establishment where you do kind of expect there to be some kind of responsibility or security and that somebody's life won't be in danger. And I also could see how he's only going based off of his experience and what he knows. He thinks that the man is guilty without a doubt. And so he's going to do everything to support that. And so I felt him kind of telling his daughter was just trying to give her enough room to be okay with the fact that what she had to say could impact somebody negatively. And then last thing, I do think ultimately he showed that he was in some way a good father because he did protect her. She could have been put on the stand and had to kind of face more of her past, but instead of having to deal with that, he took it and just kind of took that burden. I'll let Dot respond if you got something to say on that, and then let's move forward.
In terms of him being like a good or bad father, for me, I'm with you, Keith. I think that I did get to see him being protective over his daughter, and his big arguments were she was a kid, she didn't know what she was doing. Let me make sure that I take this from her. And that's something that I can respect only because even when you know your child is wrong, it's still a very embarrassing and traumatic experience that you want to protect them from. But fatherhood and the person you are two different things. So even though I can say, I can see that he's trying to be a good dad, but he, to me, still exemplifies things that I would say he's a bad person.
Yeah. Let me clarify. All my anger is from him as a person. Him as a dad going on the stand, that's what he should have did. Like I have no ill feelings about him as a dad. Him like trying to talk his daughter up and like comfort her. That's fine. Everything else was dirtball to me. But that's where I've come from. But
well, I'm
as
glad
a father,
you
that
cleared
was
it
not.
out, because you were saying something a little bit different. But here's one thing I know that we all can agree and respect. Tonight we did get to see Jamal's return to prison. He's alive. I was like, yes, he's still here. I know everybody was excited about that. That was an element that was nice little surprise. I feel like another key moment of surprise, they had the old warden Sofia kind of come in and meet Aaron on the bus and show that she was still looking out. What did you guys think of, I guess, those two takes in particular? And then if you have any other standout surprise elements, not the big last reveal, but any other elements that were just like nice not to go on this journey of 13 episodes. Emily?
I was so happy to see Jamal because they've kind of left that open-ended for the last 2 episodes. And they still left it open-ended because he's kind of unconscious, not talking, laying on stretched out on this bed. And, you know, I got really concerned when Maskins kind of threatened that situation, just saying I could take care of him. I could make sure that, you know, your homeboy Jamal is good, because I won't jump, but I do think that will play a really big role into Aaron's decision making. So seeing Jamal again and knowing that he's all right, for me, it just kind of makes me think of Aaron and his motivation and just wanting to push harder and really fight for himself. And again, with Sofia, she has just like really proven herself to be ride or die. She really cares about Aaron on a level that we really didn't understand as we were watching throughout these previous episodes. And, you know, every time she shows up, her heart is showing bigger and more prominent. And I'm just like, really like, I mess with her. You know, like when there's somebody that you like, I'm not really sure, and they do that one thing, and you like, at the end of the day, like, I don't got to say nothing to her. She don't got to say nothing to me, but I rock with her. That's how I feel.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Go
No,
ahead,
I totally felt the same way. I'm not surprised. Sophia is like, you know what? I am with Aaron all the way. And I was a little nervous actually at that scene because I wasn't sure who was coming on the bus. And because it's always like you always have a schedule when you're doing those transfers or when you're going from place to place. So the fact that it stopped and like even Aaron seemed nervous. And when she came on, I'm like, what is happening? What is she gonna tell him? Like what's going down? And I was so happy to see that I'm happy and also sad because she sacrificed so much in the end, which we saw. And you know, her wife lost the election, and so it caused so much havoc in her life in order to save Aaron's life and to save so many other future like inmates' lives and all these people that are like fighting the justice system. So like she knows she's on the same level as Aaron. She knows it's a bigger cause than she could do with just herself. And so I love to see that moment, that strong character there. And then I'm excited that Jamal is back, but I'm a little worried, obviously, that he's not doing so well. And I think you're right that there is going to be some type of decision that Aaron's going to have to make, obviously, and that might be a big factor.
Absolutely, especially because his safety, we'll talk about in a bit, is just uncertain, both of those, because he did try to transfer, but Cyrus isn't having it. Jeff, what do you think about those 2 appearances?
I'm kind of confused about why they would have him be kind of injured to bring him back in the jail cell, because when they brought him in, they said for him to be here, that means he's good. That means he's like healthy. That means he's good. And then to kind of threaten him at the end, it just didn't make sense. So, but yes, I'm definitely happy that he's back, and I hope that he stays there for a long time. But on the Masri's standpoint, I think that her heart is just showing more and more each episode. And when it was pushed to shove, like, what are you gonna do? She's like, I'm going with my heart. And it's frustrating to see because up until today, I was like, her wife is her wife. Like, your wife. Like, she's a good person at the end of the day. And we just saw at the end of the day, her wife is about winning. And it's frustrating. Like, like, as a person, you lost because your wife is doing something that's the detriment for everybody else, but you're still mad. So Mazari's wife can kick rocks for me. Like, it's a love hater. I mean, like, that's just, it's straight, it's black and white for me. Like,
trash.
like you said, she's been trash. We confirmed it. Kick rocks. I'm not even mad she lost, to be honest. Like, she didn't deserve.
None of us cared. We were like, okay.
Because she was sacrificing her morals, and like her and the warden had such a different view of the justice system and what's right and what's wrong. And then when that gets so like saturated into your relationship, when you can't even see that person for who they really are, or who they were when you married them, like, that is so toxic. And so I feel like she finally saw the revelation of what her wife was doing. And
I think they have some fundamental differences. We definitely saw it play out throughout the season because they always were kind of hit or miss or rough patches. But we'll definitely see, because she even said in the close at some point, like, I don't know how we recover from this, the fact that she lost. So I'll get back to that kind of when we talked about predictions and going into season 2. But before we get there are some more elements. I'll try to do like some spitfire questions just because I want to definitely know what you guys think. So we always talk a little bit about life outside of the prison. There was, that kind of led through. We didn't see much, but we did see some instances that I think are like super important to note. For one, first question, I thought that, of course, Jasmine has the baby tonight. Did anybody not expect her to have the baby?
I did not expect Jasmine to have the baby. The whole time we have watched this season, she has been pregnant, but it has been like in the back burner. And so when she was in labor, I'm like, oh, of course. She's stressed out, like she is pregnant. I'm like, and of course, it's during Aaron's trying to get his retrial. I'm like, yes, come on, let's raise the stakes. I honestly, like, I'm not trying to be funny, like, her being pregnant, I just was expecting her to be pregnant the whole season and next season. So her, but for me, and the fact that she named the baby Aaron, I said, oh, Aaron's about to come in there with that heat and that fire, because he has a legacy now that he has to uphold and now that he's fighting for. So I thought that was such a special moment. I was very sad though, because I'm like, dang, if she could have just held on to baby. It was 5 weeks early. Maybe Aaron could have been there, because that's such a special moment that you can't get back, So I was sad about that, but I'm happy that she gave birth to a healthy baby boy named Aaron.
Can I say that was a pretty big baby for 5 weeks? 5 weeks early.
Those TV babies are always.
Those TV babies are like toddlers.
They can't bring a newborn, so it's always this big old baby.
It's true. It's true. I wasn't surprised at all.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. Okay, so we're saying there. So another, I think, a big factor. This will take us a few minutes to get through. We got to see more of this Darius element. Darius came to the courthouse. He told him that they had the baby, and so I guess the biggest question is, do you guys think that there's an opportunity for them to be friends again? We did get to see, like we were talking about, some of that Black man to man or just brotherhood camaraderie in their exchange, and even Aaron inviting him to the court. But before we answer that, Jeff, you can start. Do you think that he and Aaron will be friends again?
I think so, because what my frustration was from the beginning was that he never went there to talk to him. But like in the later half, in the last couple episodes, we saw him do that. We saw him get that gumption, like, yo, I need to go. Well, we already saw that. We saw the past that he did it, and then we saw him go again, and then we see him going to the court dates and everything. We see him being there, even though Aaron has told him, get out, I don't want to see your face. Dog, I'm still there. I'm your friend, matter like if you want it or not. And then Aaron kind of come to a realization, he's here. At the end of the day, he loves my family, and I respect that. I want you to be here, and I appreciate that. I think it was taking Aaron some time to realize that, and for the fans, me to realize that, because I didn't see all of it. but I think they both grew from this situation, and I don't know if they're going to be best friends, but I think that respect factor is there.
Agree. I love
Yeah.
that. Emily, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely, I don't know if they're going to be best buds. Like, I don't think it's ever going to go back to the way it was because obviously there's too much history there, too much has happened. But I feel like they have a bond, now that, Darius has helped so much with the family, has helped Aaron in so many ways as well. And they're going to forever be connected in whatever way. So I'm not sure which way that will take place in season 2 and stuff, but I feel like they will still at least have some type of connection.
Yeah, and I think when you have a certain amount of history or experience with somebody, there's certain people in our lives where it don't matter. They
It does-
call, you're gonna
exactly.
show up. How did you appreciate, I guess, the moment between Aaron and Darius, especially that last moment when we got the result? We can say at this point, he
Yeah.
did get the retrial. The
Retrial.
retrial was granted. Yay!
Yeah.
Queen.
Yes.
So the
was
retrial was
Cheers.
definitely granted, and there's this moment where Darius and Aaron have an exchange, and Darius' eyes are welling up. So
beautiful,
what was your take on that experience?
That was a very beautiful moment. It has been wonderful to see Darius alongside Aaron this entire time, regardless of their situation. Just every time I see Darius and his interaction with Aaron, I just think how complicated that relationship is and just how gracefully Aaron has embraced it. To me, I haven't seen Aaron go off on Darius yet, and I really need to see that. And I think that once he lets off that steam and they kind of go head to head with how they really feel, I think there's definitely an opportunity for a real friendship and a real forgiveness to happen. I think if they continue moving forward now with this big elephant in the room, it will be very like, we're cool, we respect each other, but there's obviously a genuine love that's there, or else why would Darius still be around for absolutely everything? Like, he literally gave Aaron the news about his grandson. He's sitting in the courtroom, he's rooting him on. So I hope that in season 2, they really yell and scream at each other and get it out and have that therapeutic argument where they can, love on one another. I don't know what that means for Marie or where she will stand in that, but man to man, they need to get some things off their chest because this looks like one of those friendships that's not worth losing.
Okay. And I'm glad you mentioned a few things because I think now it's almost certain that we're going to see them kind of come to some fisticuffs. The biggest element that threatens their relationship is Marie. And we got to see tonight, we talked this whole season about her bad behavior and her just need to do wrong and break the law. And so now it's coming to a head. So now that you say that, I'm like, oh, this is an element that the writers, if y'all are listening for season 2, you could definitely use just to kind of pull strings for Aaron and Darius. Because from my take is that Darius is going to feel like Aaron is responsible for her being wrapped up in doing anything it takes. And then it goes back to his decision and what he has to make. So let's talk a bit about that. Jeff, go ahead. We'll start there with you again, especially just Marie. She has the best of intentions. But like I said, we knew about season or episode 1 or 2 that this was going to come back to haunt her, and we got to see that it definitely is going to be present.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating because like she's such a great character. She's so instrumental in so many different storylines, but yet she doesn't know what she wants to do, and it's hurting so many different people. It's like Aaron and Darius, their problems probably wouldn't be as bad if she made a decision because she's stringing Darius along. She didn't sign the divorce papers. Like, she's doing so much stuff to add to the drama. It's frustrating because like when these guys do come to like collide and stuff, they're gonna be like, well, I mean, I'm pissed off because of this. I'm pissed off because of this. Well, Marie did both of these things. It's like, it's frustrating to see, and I hope that she makes a decision. But like, I don't blame her totally on her like helping out Aaron and kind of getting in some trouble. I'll leave that for that discussion when we get to his final decision, because I'm gonna add that in why I make my decision on what I would do.
Okay, fair. So for now, I'll let you guys respond, just speaking to Marie's character, because that's clearly going to come into play with that whole conversation, just character and integrity. I do feel that she's made a lot of decisions based on wanting to help and knowing that he is innocent. You get to a point where you're willing to do anything, but it's coming back to bite her in the butt. Emily, what's your take there?
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is we've always been kind of going back and forth on Marie and like where her feelings and her loyalties lie in the sense of like her relationships with Aaron and Darius. And I feel like the way, because she went and got those records and she did the letter and she did all these things, it shows that she still has major feelings for Aaron and she thinks that he is innocent. And so like her actions speak louder than what she can't say to Darius and what she can't say to Aaron. So at this point, like her actions are going to catch up with her, unfortunately. And what I'm worried about is that she's not going to be able to like be out in the open and get to like have some closure and like make the decision between Darius and Aaron and like make those calls because something else might get in the way. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. She's put both of them before herself in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. I mean,
Mhm.
especially Aaron, and now it's like you're not even gonna have a chance to choose because you've added some more mess. Dot, what's your take on all of that mess?
Yeah, so watching Marie this entire time, she's been one of my favorite characters just because there's so many layers to her. She's a doctor, a nurse. She literally her personality is to care for people and to
Mhm.
help people and to assist them. It's her strength, and sometimes you have that passion for your strength that almost becomes a weakness. I think my biggest fear in this situation is we all have opportunities to make choices on our own, but when we have to deal with the punishments for them, we start to put the blame on other people. She made the decision to go and get those files. That's what she wanted to do. That's what she felt was needed to do in that moment. And I think that when all of this comes out, she's going to completely blame Aaron. She's going to
Mm.
resent him. She's going to be upset with him. It's going to change and alter her decision between picking Darius and Aaron, because sometimes those people who love to help and want to help, they do so, but they don't think about what happens after. And I can just see Marie, just her job's going to be at jeopardy and people are going to be saying bad things about her. And she, instead of her changing who she is and looking at herself and realizing what she did, it's going to be Aaron's fault. It's going to be all Aaron's fault. And she's going to
Wow.
fall into Darius's arms like, oh,
Mm,
Wow. That's
okay.
a
Well,
bold prediction.
yeah, I'm gonna lay off
Woo!
on some of that. It was a lot of
That's a
prediction
bold
there.
prediction.
I disagree with some of it. I think that Marie is gonna be okay with her decision, and I think that when they do have a conversation, she still is going to feel like she did what was right to her. Like you said, that's her personality type. That's not gonna change. If I want to help somebody, I'm gonna find a way to help them, and she did along the way. So we can go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. The biggest piece of the puzzle is this: he did get the retrial. However, Maskins comes back around, waving the carrot in front of his face, and he says that, look, we can do this the easy way. I give you clemency. You'll be out in 6 months. Either you can do that, or we're going to use all the dirty work that Marie did and go hard on her. You're staying in this prison system where they think that you're the snitch, so your life is in jeopardy, and so is Jamal's. And so he's left with this big decision. Now, before we get to the decision, let's talk about just because I'm really struck with his character. So hearing the differences between clemency and um, exoneration,
Mhm.
let's do a round robin. Which do you choose? Starting with you, Dot. Clemency or exoneration?
oh my gosh, I can't pick. I'm
You got to pick
stressed.
which one comes to mind first. Just say
Oh
it.
no.
There's no
Okay,
judgment.
what comes to mind first, because I've watched 13 episodes and I know how bad Aaron wants this. It is exoneration. But come back
Okay.
to me. Come back to me.
Okay. Emily, clemency or exoneration?
I cannot.
You gotta
Ugh,
pick. I had to pick.
I know. I cannot imagine Aaron getting like making a deal and just being like, oh, like he
Well,
needs
not
to
even
fight.
about Aaron, but for you, if it
Oh, for
came
me?
down to it, what do you think
Oh,
you would choose?
Oh, exoneration completely.
Okay,
I
Jeff,
would
what you
fight for
choosing?
it.
question. Is it no?
Like, what's
Is
the
it like
what's
the
the crime?
repercussions happening for him? Like, are we in his body?
Are we like him or are we ourselves?
Right. It's like you or him. So the same kind
Oh.
Well,
of
then
situation.
no,
Your
because
family.
and this is why I hate that I'm saying this. I have to go with the deal. I have to because
I'm
at
going
the
with
end
the
of
deal too.
at the end of the day, you're dealing with Jamal's life. You're
I
dealing with
know.
your life continue. You're dealing with your wife's life. And when you're
I know.
saying you're
It's
dealing with your
everyone.
wife's life, that means you're dealing with your daughter's life because that means she would have no parents out there. So there's so much to go
I
on. Like
know.
you have to take
And
this deal, and it's
So
so frustrating. And I hate to say
I
it,
know.
but
So
like
I agree with you, Jeff, there that you should like it, like that moment where they're circling like vultures and like they stage that moment where you feel like Aaron's being like gonna be eaten, swallowed up. Like that's terrifying. And I his whole life he's fighting for his life here and his family's life. And so I'm gonna change my vote.
so,
I gotta go with Jeff's opinion too, because like it's
No, then I'm going
well,
back too.
what.
okay. Okay. We're gonna scratch that because it's going
You
left.
got us
But
all
I
worked
just
up,
want to
Keith.
say because so here's what we'll do. We'll pivot. We'll make it back to the show because that's what we're here to talk about. So we'll spend a few minutes talking about this, then we'll talk about some of the big upsets that you guys had, and then of course we'll get through our predictions. But so I can understand both sides of it for Aaron because on one hand you do have to consider the lives of all the people you care about, you love, you revere. You know, you would choose them over yourself anyway. But you also have to grapple with the fact that these people and other peoples have done everything just so that you could get out, just because you are innocent. And so I feel that a part of you wants to, respect that as well. Because hey, if I'm innocent and it comes out I'm innocent, then I don't have to worry about the bad. Everybody's good. But he is put in a peculiar situation that is going to no doubt take us into season two. I'm really hoping we get a season two. I think is vital at this point because I want to see. But so we'll go back around Dot talking about Aaron, his experience over 13 episodes. What are you looking for him to do in this situation?
At this point, I am looking for Aaron to stay strong and to continue moving how he has been and to trust his instincts. And only because of what I've seen, because I have my own feelings. Of course, I'm like, okay, take the plea, whatever. But because of what I've seen, what he's gone through, how far he's gotten, how much he has fought, how much he has taught himself, how much he has had faith when we didn't, I want him to stand his ground and to be the first person to really make some changes in how things are done. And I want him to ride or die for himself. That's what I would like to see.
Even though, just to be clear, that does mean, or looks like that means that Maria's going to be the one put with the felony and behind bars. Yes or no? You still want him to sacrifice?
Yeah, I mean, she slept with
Okay.
his whole best friend. Like, what?
Okay.
And now it's a soap opera.
Okay, Emily.
She chooses herself.
Oh my
We
God.
don't have much time, so let's go. Emily, we've experienced Aaron this whole time. We've talked a lot about integrity and character. Where do you stand?
I'm so torn. I mean, I see where Dot is. I see where Jeff is. I feel Aaron can, Aaron could stand up for himself too, and then maybe the warden, the previous warden, can come in and help him and maybe there's more witnesses that saw stuff that can come out of the woodwork.
So you're going with
So
exoneration.
I'm gonna go with yeah.
Okay, I'm not
I'm
mad
gonna say
about
he's
it.
gonna fight for it because he has to do what's right in his soul and in his heart.
And his integrity is big too. And we got to
Mhm.
see him talk about some of the life changes, and this is the type of person he is now. Jeff, where are you falling?
I'm staying with. Unfortunately, I'm
The
staying with.
Clemency.
You got to take the deal because,
I know.
like I said, it's bigger than just him. He has his whole family, and you telling me that if it's between you or your wife going to jail and you already in there, there's no way that I can imagine someone saying, you know what, she might go to jail. For me, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't like it. I like till this day. I watched it a couple hours ago, and I like ever since then I was like, how can he still get Maskins without being a lawyer? But like it was just so frustrating because I know he can't be a lawyer anymore, but he still has to go and attack him.
Mhm.
But I'm
Yeah,
staying with my side. You got to go with your family. You have to
I
save your family.
understand. I could respect it. I think the lawyer thing is the biggest thing for him because that was what he wanted to have.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I agree with you, Jeff. I think put in that situation, I could very well understand him leaning to the clemency because you do get out. Y'all already have experience all this time, and I didn't take the deal the first time. People were mad about that. So
Mhm.
so we'll see. We're almost to the end of our time together on this journey. Before we get into predictions, though, I know we came in the room. Everybody felt like there was a lot of things they wanted to say or just felt upset with. We'll start with Jeff and then we'll work our way around. What are the biggest things that kind of left you feeling very angry at the close of the season?
Um, that the new character, as in the dad, he really bothered me just because how he was like flip flopping. Like, yes, he was a good father to his daughter in the sense that he was protecting her, but everything he did was dirtball to me, and I stand by that. By like just going like, no, whatever needs to happen, make this go away, and like, no, Aaron should be in trouble because he didn't make this happen. He was the club owner, yes, but if he doesn't know about a person that gets treated wrong in his club, he doesn't need to go to jail for life. Like it just seems like he was just
Okay.
taking all the responsibility as a
Mhm.
father off of him, and that really bothered me as a whole. That was where my
Okay.
frustration was in this episode.
Emily, what about you overall looking at the season finale? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the judge really just like irked me the wrong way. I just feel like I think at the end he redeemed himself by really looking at the attitude of how the DA side was kind of reacting and kind of being way too nitpicky and too harsh and kind of really aggressively going after this case when they didn't really need to. And so I think he redeemed himself in the end a little bit, but I just feel like he didn't really he was way harsher on Aaron than I think needed needed
Mhm.
to happen. And I also feel like this I feel like Marie didn't really get a resolution in this episode. We didn't feel like she got to reconnect with Aaron. Like once Aaron found out that he was gonna get a retrial, there wasn't any phone
She wasn't
call, there
even
wasn't
there.
any like I wanted that special moment because we've seen them go through so much in these 13 episodes.
Yeah,
So I
that was
really
definitely a big want
yeah, I needed that closure.
along the
Like
way.
Darius was like the messenger and I didn't feel like that was necessarily right.
And what about you, Dot? How do you walk away from the season finale?
I walk away still just so upset and frustrated at Maskins. It has been an ongoing theme that because of power, money, and politics,
Mhm.
he runs the show. And it's
Mhm.
like I have watched Aaron like literally fight, crawl, and beat his way to just get this retrial. He finally gets the retrial, and still Maskins is like hanging something over his head, like, got something now. So for me, it just triggers something in me because I feel like as we all move through life, unfortunately, some of us will never ever get that upper hand because there is always some presentation of a Maskins in our life. So I'm
Mhm.
upset. I want to fight.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I think
Feel
for me,
that.
my biggest disappointment or the thing that leaves me, I really wanted to see in some way Sophia be reinstated or just better conditions for the jail. I did not want them to be left in the hands of Cyrus because
Yeah.
we've come so far just learning this culture just to have to go in and see something different. I almost prefer him to be transferred and to be somewhere completely new and let's live that journey. But like I said, we've got a couple minutes left here. So let's go through some of our predictions. Should there be a season two? What are you looking forward to? Let's keep it short, you guys, so that we can walk away with our biggest takeaways from having this moment or time to share together. Go ahead, Dot.
My prediction is there is definitely going to be a season two. We're going to see that retrial, and Aaron is going to finally win. He's going to get out.
Okay, Emily.
I think, yeah, Aaron's gonna have his retrial. There's gonna be a lot more witnesses, a lot more evidence that comes forward to help him, as well as maybe be a detriment to him. And I think Marie is finally gonna make a decision. There's gonna be some family reunions. It's gonna be great.
Okay, and for you, Jeff?
I think it's gonna get all the way to him telling his family that he's gonna take the deal, and I think it's gonna be Marie is gonna be the one that's gonna say no. Don't say you fought too far, you've done too much. You have to see this through, even at my own risk. I think she's gonna be the one to kind of tell him because right now he's not gonna do the same thing twice. He's not gonna take the wrong deal twice. I think Marie has to be the one to say
I
it.
like that. I like that
Okay, I
actually.
like it too. I don't think that he's going to end up telling or taking the deal, and I do think that he's going to be in a different prison. But we can always keep this conversation going all over social media. So as we close out, I want you guys to tell the people where they can find you, and maybe quickly, what's one of your highlights of just being on this after show together. We'll start with none other than Dot McDonald.
Well, you guys can all find me on @McDonald, all social media platforms. My biggest takeaway from all of this is really just watching and paying closer attention to people who have been wrongly accused. I want to thank Jeff for his special segment. It has really gotten my mind going to look a little deeper into some of these cases that come forward.
I love that. And what about you, Jeff?
I just love the relationships and the friendships that they show, either with Darius or with the cellmate. I love the friendships, the levels of friendships, the struggles that you see friendships go through, and like coming back to it. So that's what I took from this series, and we're definitely getting season 2. But if you guys want to continue the conversation, you already know Jeff Will Jr. on social media platforms.
Yes, jumping into DMs near you.
Oh,
And then
all day, every day, twice on Sunday.
Emily, please tell us
Oh
where
my
we can further
gosh.
the conversation with you and your highlight moment.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller. I've absolutely loved this show. I love talking about it with you guys, breaking it down. I have to say, I'm so more like aware of what's going on in like the justice system. It makes me think about like just where our world is and where we need to improve and how we need to help other people, and then also the strength and resiliency of people. And Jeff, some of the stories you've shared have been incredible, and I'm just so lucky that I've been able to take it all in.
I love that. For me, you can find me on all social media platforms at Keith_Andre. I really love doing the show with you guys. We had great energy. It's nice to see that we can have these conversations, in real life and just think differently and share. And then also, it's a big inspiration to me. I'm going to take my LSAT at home June 15th.
Wow.
Go.
20.
You're going to kill
So,
that.
yeah, I'll be sure to let you guys know about it. We'll talk about it
Yes.
on social.
That's
But
amazing.
thank you. Until season 2, let's raise it up a toast. Cheers to
Woo!
you
Go.
guys.
Sad.
I
And thank you all
know.
for watching. We'll see you next season.
See you next
Cheers.
season.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.